You on?
Yeah.
Okay, good morning, Rabotai. Welcome everybody on this beautiful second day of Hanukah, corresponding to the 26th day of Kislev, the 4th day of December. Today, Be'ezat Hashem, I'd like to cover 2 or 3 particular concepts. Let's talk about eating donuts in Hanukah. We have donuts there today. You have sufganiyot. Beautiful. Beautiful. Enjoy them. And we're going to talk today about the concept of eating the delicious food in Hanukah. The basic reason why we eat sufganiyot during the week of Hanukah is basically because of the oil. As you know, if you ever went to a bakery, how to do the sufganiyot, what do? You make the dough, and then you deep fry it. You put it into a pool of oil, basically, huge amount, I don't mean a swimming pool, but basically an unbelievable amount of oil, and then you flip it in the middle, and after you take it out, you use a special injection, and then you inject the jelly, the custard filling, or the chocolate. Now, this is the physical explanation of a donut, so to speak, or a sufganiyah. The donut, actually, the American donut has a hole in the middle, like a bagel. But the sufganiyot means all round, no hole in the middle, with the exception of the hole for the cream. So today's class, at least the first part of the class, will be why do we go the extra mile and we have to eat this type of food in the week of Hanukah. You'll be surprised at what's written about eating sufganiyot in Hanukah. And I have the source here today. I did hint about it yesterday, but I have it in front of me. And it says as follows. This was written, according to some opinions, by the father of the Maimonides, Rabbeinu Maimon ben Yosef. And he wrote, and it says, that although there is no obligation in the celebration of Hanukah to make a Seudah Mitzvah or eat special foods like we do, for example, in Rosh Hashanah or in Purim. In Rosh Hashanah, we dip the apple in the honey, we have the lubia, we have the rosh keves, we have the leek, etc. And in Purim, we must have a Seudah Mitzvah, as is the Seudah of Purim. But he called it an interesting obligation to eat the sufganiyot during the week of Hanukah. I'm going to read something that he originally wrote it in Arabic, and Baruch Hashem, to our benefit, is translated into English. And it says as follows: one should not be lenient with any custom, minhag, even a seemingly minor tradition, and one is properly obligated to have a festive meal with food in order to publicize the miracle of Hanukah. And a minhag developed was to make sufganiyot. That's what he wrote 1,000 years ago, which are in the olden days honey cakes called istrikin by the Targum Onkelos. And Rabbeinu Nissim writes that this was an interesting concept that the Jewish people endured for many generations. And he brings here a footnote that says that the man that we ate during the desert, the pasuk says, "Beta'amo kesapihit bitbash." The man had a sweet, like honey, type of flavor. And therefore it says that Rabbeinu Maimon wrote this over 1,000 years ago, and so are other great rabbis that mention this topic. Now, although we must say that food, it changes a bit with the generations. Meaning to say, what sometimes grandparents used to eat, the new generation may not have that affinity, and they want maybe perhaps more refined sounding names. But it says, irrelevant if they had the donuts that were fried in oil with powdered sugar and jelly, or if they had salty donuts, which we know that there is another tradition in Hanukah to eat potato latkes, right? Potato latkes. Why people eat potato latkes in Hanukah? So first answer will be because of the oil. But why not? Why latkes? Why potato latkes? We'll discuss it in a minute. It says here the reason why. But listen to this great hidush by the great Rabbeinu Shlomo Zalman Auerbach alav shalom. And it says that one of the reasons a person should make the effort of eating in Hanukah this type of food is because of beracha aharona. When a person eats a donut, what beracha do you say on the donut? Mezonot. Excellent answer. What beracha do we say afterwards? Ala mihiyah. Ala mihiyah ve'ala kalkala. And it says that this beracha of ala mihiyah, we use it whenever a person drinks ala gefen, if it's wine, ala etz for olives, grapes, pomegranate, etc. And ala mihiyah for example, mezonot bread, or cookies, or donuts, or sufganiyot, etc. And it says that all of these prayers, the ala mihiyah, talks about, and let's look inside quickly, right here. What is the common theme of ala mihiyah? First, praying to God for mercy. Rahem Hashem Elokeinu Aleinu Be'al Yisrael Amach. God had mercy upon us, upon the entire Jewish people, Al Yerushalayim Eirach, on the holy city of Yerushalayim, on the place of the Bet HaMikdash. And then it says, please, Al Mizbahach, Amen. Restore the altar in the Bet HaMikdash, the Alechalach, the grandeur, the greatness of the Bet HaMikdash. So interesting enough that in the Birkat HaMazon, there is no mention about building of the Mizbeach. The only mention about the Bet HaMikdash is about the city of Yerushalayim, the Hechal, and the Bet HaMikdash. But Mizbeach is not mentioned in Birkat HaMazon. But Mizbeach is mentioned in Hanukah, in Ala Mehiyah. And that's why the next part of the class today, Be'ezat Hashem, will be the song of Ma'osur. You know the famous song, right? What are we saying in that song? Tikon betefilati, Besham todah nezabeach, Hanukat hamizbeach. It seems that there is a direct relationship between the Mizbeach and the celebration of Hanukah. So for that, we'll talk about it in a moment. And he explains as follows, that the relationship between Mizbeach and Beracha Aharona. One of the reasons why we say Beracha Aharona, ala etz, for example, is specifically for having fruits from the land of Israel, specifically from the 7 species, which 5 are fruit and 2 are grain. But the Gemara in Sotah writes, Miyom sheharav bet hamikdash natal ta'am perot. Since the moment that the Bet HaMikdash was destroyed, the fruits don't have the same flavor. What does this mean? The short answer is that when the people came to the Bet HaMikdash and offered the korbanot and offered the bikurim to the kohanim, that brought a tremendous amount of blessing to whatever item they brought. Now that we have no Bet HaMikdash, now that we cannot do offerings of the Mizbeach, so automatically that greatness of the flavor of food completely disappeared. Why? Because once the Bet HaMikdash was destroyed and there is no Mizbeach, we cannot bring the bikurim. Once we cannot bring the fruits offering, automatically the fruit flavor went down. Which in reality in today's life, most of the food that we have is synthetic food. It's not real food. Yes, it's real because the scale shows it, to be clear, to be real. But honestly speaking, how much people spend today in buying non-GMO products, right? Or they buy organic, pesticides-free. All these things that people do, and people tell you, I'm not an expert on this topic fully, but I do understand what's the difference between organic and non-organic. Hopefully healthier, more natural, so to speak, no pesticides, or like GMO. What's a GMO? Genetically modified organism, basically synthetic food. And that's why they talk about the food coloring. Remember the food coloring they put sometimes in certain food? Okay, they seem to be inoffensive, but in reality, there could be a problem even with that. So therefore, since beracha aharona, ala mehiyah, ala es, ve'ala gefen, all these three foods are directly connected to the sanctity of the land of Israel, so therefore, in this prayer, we are telling God, build the Bet HaMikdash, bring Mashiach, gather the Jewish people, build the Hechal, build the Mizbeach, and we want to try the food the way you originally created. Amen. And based on this, as I said yesterday, that when a person eats this type of food, it brings also great beracha to the person. And it says also that in the week of Hanukah, let's talk about the donut. I must confess my sins today. I have not eaten a donut yet. I'm fighting with the Yetzer Hara. No, don't get me. I can get myself. Chocolate, custard, and filling.
Can go to the holiday.
Yeah, my wife made special coconut flour donuts. Healthy, dipped in coconut oil. Yani, my wife is health, street, and sergeant. And I hope she listens to the class, that I'm a good boy. Okay? Anyways, so let's talk about the donut. Imagine yourself, you're eating the sufganiya. Remember the formula of how to do the sufganiya? Let's make believe that this is the sufganiya. I don't want to touch it with my hands. I use the cover of the kuppah. Circle, deep fried, both sides. That's why one part is brown, the other part is white. That's why they flip it in the oil. And I said before, they inject from the side cream, jelly, chocolate, etc. But what happens when you eat it? Suddenly the cream pops up. Never happened to you that?
Yes.
I think it happens every time you eat. You need to have a napkin next to you, because then your nose and your mustache probably going to have some cream. Don't try this at home, but we know that this is a fact. And it says that in this Sefer of Insights of Hanukah says that this action of eating and the cream coming out, in a way, this is the celebration of Hanukah. Why? Because Hanukah, even those who don't observe Hanukah, celebrate Hanukah. Hanukah is one of the busiest days in the stores. There is no obligation to give gifts in Hanukah. But people took this tradition since the world gives gifts this time of the year. But how many non-observant people celebrate Hanukah? Many. Your building, what they do? They put the menorah. My building, the same thing. They have a menorah in the lobby, so every time you come in, you see the menorah. You go to the mall, you go to the stores. What do you see? Electrical menorah. Why from Purim, unless a person is really observant, many people don't celebrate Purim. What people celebrate? Pesach, Rosh Hashanah, Kippur, and Hanukah. Hopefully Shavuot and Sukkot. But the reality is that unfortunately it's not there. So you know what's the message of Hanukah? The message of this concept of the cream and the hidden inside of the donut or the sufganiyah is to teach us that any Yehudi can be elevated during the week of Hanukah. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful concept. Even those that are unfortunately far away, Hanukah is an opportunity to upgrade the spiritual well-being of the person. If I recall yesterday, I mentioned, one second, let me just find it quickly. I mentioned the relationship between Parnassah and eating donuts. I have it right here. So it says as follows. Okay, this we have said. I think that I understand what they're trying to say. That the oil, shemen, okay, is a sign of greatness. For example, how a Jewish king was anointed with the oil, shemen zayit. How a Kohen Gadol was anointed, shemen zayit. What was the lighting of the menorah? Shemen zayit. Belly nether, belly nether, belly nether. Tomorrow I will give a shiur, God willing, on the shape of the menorah. You know the shape of the menorah? Today I don't have enough time because I want to go to Ma'asur. But this shape of the menorah, there is a lot of secrets hidden which is related to the celebration of Hanukah. We'll say this belly nether for tomorrow. But it says that the oil represents abundance. It's actually a pasuk in the Torah. Baishman yeshurun baiv'at. It's not a happy pasuk what I just quoted. It's a pasuk of complaint. But the translation is Baishman yeshurun. The Jewish people became heavy. What's the meaning heavy? They became successful. Baiv'at. But they start keeping a distance from God. So from here we learn that shemen, oil, is a sign of greatness, is a sign of leadership, is a sign of success. That may be the source of Parnassah and greatness in the person's life. We discuss quickly the topic of the potatoes. Potatoes, to eat potato latkes. Here he brings different sources of why specifically potato. Some people is because potato was the only thing that the Jewish people had to eat many generations back, coming back from Europe. But it says, it doesn't mean that you should eat one of the above. Actually, there is a greater benefit of eating more donuts than potato latkes. Why? 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 Short answer, because the potato latkes only has borei nefashot, and the sufganiyot as ala mehiyah. So if you want to be mahmir, you have both. One meal have potato latkes, another meal have the sufganiyot. This way you cover all the traditions and you cover all the suggestions. I clarify, just for the benefit of the kahal, that this is only a tradition. It is not mandatory. If you eat a kibbeh nabelsieh for the Syrian world, you eat a kibbeh deep fried, you also fulfill the mitzvah of ala mehiyah and deep fried in oil, etc. But this is only a suggestion just to share with the kahal that even something so perhaps basic and fun, perhaps, it seems to have a great benefit in the life of the person. So with this being said, I'd like to switch the topic on the topic of the Ma'osur Yeshuati. The song Ma'osur Yeshuati, which is found in many Sidurim, actually, according to the new book that I got, it's a 6-page long explanation. But I don't think that I have the time, or you have the time, to listen to 6 pages of reading. But with your permission, I'd like to concentrate in only 2 paragraphs. The first paragraph, Ma'osur Yeshuati, and the 5th paragraph, which discusses about the miracle of Hanukah. I will go quickly through the translation of the full version of Ma'osur Yeshuati, so this way we are able to, when we sing the song tonight, at least we are able to have perhaps not the verbal translation, but the overall understanding of what is the meaning of Ma'osur Yeshuati. For many generations, there was only one tune of Ma'osur Yeshuati. Today, probably I can sing you 5, 6 different versions of the tunes of Ma'osur, but it's not a musical performance, this class. For that, listen to the wonderful top Jewish singers, and you hear songs of Ma'osur. But we all know how the beautiful song of Ma'osur goes. My nephew, who is learning in yeshiva in Russia, sent me a video clip of how in Russia they sang the Ma'osur Yeshuati. Yesterday night I was far away, northern Florida, went back in the same day, not too far, and I needed to find a place to pray. So I walked into the shul, Baruch Hashem, there was a beautiful minyan for Mincha and Arvit, and again, they sing Ma'osur Yeshuati. And in all the places of the world, when they sing the song officially, is the same tune that we sing it. Ma'osur Yeshuati. Okay? You want to sing it? No. For the video? You want to do video? No, you sure? Okay. Okay, so I don't need to sing, but let's go right away with the song of Ma'osur Yeshuati. To give you a brief introduction, Ma'osur Yeshuati is a journey through Jewish history. How we began as a nation and how we have to overcome enemies. Starting from Pharaoh, Nebuchadnezzar, the miracle of Purim, destruction of the first temple, building of the second temple, miracle of Hanukah, and the ultimate miracle of Mashiach's arrival. Who really composed this song? We really don't know. We don't know. But apparently, someone named Mordechai. Someone named Mordechai. Why? Because in the composition of piyutim, which are songs in the Chazanut world, or pizmonim, usually the author pointed to their name by writing a letter of the first name at the beginning of each paragraph. And let me show you a simple example on Friday night Kiddush, right here. Okay? People sing. Who composed this song? For example, Eres Verum Vehi Baream. I'm not going to sing, but look. The name of the composer is Abraham. How do I know this? Because if you look at the opening letters, he said, Ani Abraham. My name is Abraham. This is one way. Another fellow, Israel. How do I know his name is Israel? Yod Sin Resh Aleph Lamed. Israel. This song was composed by Rabbi Israel Najara. He was the student of Rabbeinu Ha'ari. Upon him it said that when he will sing, the Malachim will come down to listen to him, because he sang with such a level of holiness and purity in his voice that his voice penetrated directly to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Another song, let's see one more song. Rabbeinu Ishaq Luria, Rabbeinu Ha'ari. What song he composed? יום זה לישראל. ישחק לוריה. You understand? I can go on, but I think that you get the hint, right? One more. This song was composed by a rabbi named Yosef. How do I know? Yod Vav Samach Fe. Yosef. That's how you decipher who composed the song. Sometimes the authors were so humble that they did not hint to the name by the letters, but by throwing words inside of the songs. So if you look at the song of Ma'osur, first paragraph, Mem, Resh, Dalet, Chaf, Yod. What name do I have? Mordechai. So someone named Mordechai composed this song. It was not Mordechai Hasadik from the time of Purim for sure. Why? Because this writer talks about the miracle of Purim, Mehila of Hanukah. And between Purim and Hanukah, they were approximately over 250 years, give or take. So we don't think that Mordechai Hasadik lived that long. Maybe he did, but according to what we know, he did not. So it says as follows. So we begin with the first paragraph. Ma'osur Yeshuati, Almighty Rock of my salvation. Basically, a person is talking to Hashem. Lecha na'eh leshabeach. To praise you is a delight. Tikon bet tefillati. Restore my house of prayer. Meaning to say, the Bet HaMikdash. Besham todah nezabeach. And there I will bring a thanksgiving offering. So far so good?
Yes.
Next. Le'ed tachim matbeach. When you will have prepared the slaughter, misar hamenabeach, from the blaspheming enemy, basically, one of the tragedies that took place in the Bet HaMikdash was that the enemies of Am Israel has a way of hurting God, so to speak. They defiled the Bet HaMikdash. They slaughtered a pig. They used to kill people and throw the blood into the curtain of the Hechal. In other words, blasphemous acts of insult to our Torah and our religion. But it says, doesn't matter. Azek mor beshir mizmor, Hanukah tamizbeach. My final song, or my ultimate song, will be when the Bet HaMikdash will be rebuilt speedily in our days. Amen. This is basically the first paragraph of this song. The second paragraph, I'm going to go quickly in the English, and then I will explain more towards the end. Ra'od sabi'a nafshi. We had countless times of suffering throughout the hands of the Egyptians. Beyagon kohi kala. With anguish, my physical strength, my mind was destroyed. Hayai mareru bekoshi. The Egyptians embittered our life with hard labor. Beshe'ivud malchut egla. Especially through the suffering of slavery. And yet, ubyado hagedolah. But with the power of Hashem's great hand, Hosiyet segula. God took the treasure nation out of Egypt. Who is he referring to? Am Israel. Hel Paro bechol zar'o, the army of Paro and all the offsprings and all the armies, yardu ke'even bimsula. They sank like a stone into the deep of the ocean. So this is paragraph number 2. So we went from the destruction of the temple, we go to the beginning. We went into Egypt, we suffer, we pay a heavy price, but thank God, God came to the rescue. We were able to breathe for a few years, but then it comes the next chapter of history. We need to think for a moment that between the destruction of the first temple, which is called the Babylonian exile, and the exodus of Egypt, they were approximately 1,000 years. 40 plus 400 and change, plus 410, plus 16 of construction, 920 to 1,000, give or take. If I throw in the 70 years of exile, I have 1,000 years for sure. So it says, Devir kocho eviani, Hashem, you brought me to Jerusalem, to the Bet HaMikdash. Begam sham lo shakakti. There I did not find tranquility. Why? The pasuk says, Uba nogesh beiglani, a new oppressor came, the Babylonians, right, Nebuchadnezzar, and sent us into exile. Ki zarim abadati, because we did idolatry. We serve idolatry. God says, if you're going to stay in the land of Israel to serve idolatry, so you know what? Go live outside of Israel. Continues. Beyain ra'al masachti. It says, I drank the wine of, meaning to say, the bitterness of exile. Kim'at she'abarti. And it says, I left and I came back. Kes Babel Zerubbabel. At the end of the empire of Babylonia, Zerubbabel brought us back to Israel to build the second Bet HaMikdash. Lekes Shiv'im Noshati. The exile of Babylonia, Babel, lasted 70 years. And after 70 years, miracle of Purim, which is the next paragraph. We went from Egypt to Israel to Babylon. Now we're coming back. Number 4 paragraph. Kerot komad berosh bikesh agagi ben hamedata. Meaning to say Haman, a descendant of Agag, the king that Shaul HaMelech failed to execute in that faithful chapter of the book of Shemuel. He wanted to bring down Mordechai Sadiq, Beniato lepah ul mokesh, and the plans of Haman became a trap and a stumbling block for Haman. Bega'avato nishbata. His arrogance of Haman, it came to an end. Rosh Yemini niseta. You lifted the head of the Binyamite Jew. This refers to Mordechai. Mordechai was from Shevet Binyamin. Be'oyev shemo mahita. And the name of the enemy, meaning Haman, it was completely erased. As the Megillah tells us, that Haman and his 10 children were executed, etc. Rob banav vekinyanav al ha'etz talita. The Haman and his sons and his possessions, basically everything was taken away from Haman. Now it comes the end of Ma'osur by the original writer. And this is the part of Hanukah. So we went miracle of Purim. We went back to Israel. We rebuilt Bet HaMikdash number 2. And 200 years and change was the Greek invasion. The Assyrians and the Greeks that we have been discussing since the early part of this week. Now comes the song and it says, now we give gratitude to Hashem obviously for the miracle of the Hashmonaim. Yevanim nikvesu alai. The Assyrian and Greek army, they gathered to make war against Am Israel bimei Hashmanim, during the time of the Hashmonaim. Ufarsu homot migdalai. They breached the walls of the towers of the Bet HaMikdash. The Bet HaMikdash was a tall building, actually the highest of Jerusalem. Betimeu kol hashemanim. The Gemara in Shabbat tells us that the Greeks defiled the oil in purpose. So the Jewish people will not ever be able to restore the lighting of the menorah. And Belineder will discuss tomorrow the relationship between fire, oil, and menorah. Uminotar kankanim. And from the remnant of the flask of oil, one minuscule one, Naasa Nes Lashoshanim. A miracle was performed for the roses. Shlomo HaMelech, King Solomon, in the Song of Songs says, Keshoshana ben Ahohim ken rayati ben habanot. The Pasuk calls the Jewish people the rose among the thorns. A sheep surrounded by wolves. Bnei Bina. In commemoration of this miracle, Bnei Bina means the Hachamim of that generation, the leaders of that generation, Yemei Shemona, for 8 days, Kav'u Shir Urnanim. They established days of song and jubilation. This is, in a nutshell, the song of Hanukah. But I don't like to leave things incomplete, so I like to read the next paragraph, which according to many, it was not written by this author, but by someone else that lived after him. And he did not give us a hint of his name, but according to what we understand, the first time that this song appeared in Jewish history was approximately in the time of the Crusades, before the Inquisition of Spain. So we're talking about a gap of 100 to 150 years. And now we're going to talk about, if I am allowed to take an extra few moments with your permission, thank you so much, okay, to discuss the final paragraph of Ma Osur. I'm not sure if people read the final paragraph. I hope we do, but it's important because this final paragraph, if paragraph 1 through 5 applied to our forefathers and to the foundation of the Jewish people from Egypt till the destruction of the Second Temple, the next paragraph talks about us, talks about our generation. And I say our because the last generation is no longer among the living and the future generation is not here yet, so we talk about us today. And we know that this galut, this exile, is called Galut Edom. Basically, the Roman exile. Why? Simply because the Romans were the ones who sent us to the galut. And let me read you quickly what the song says, and then we'll read some interesting insights. And the song says, Hazok Mehila, Hasof Zeroa Kochecha. Hashem, reveal your great power to us and to the entire world. Which at the end of the day, we discussed this last week, we were quoting a pasuk from Yeshaya Navi that says that one of the ultimate purposes of Mashiach's arrival will be what? To hasten and to bring godliness into the world. And the pasuk says, Bekarev kes haishua. Borei Olam, expedite Mashiach's arrival. Nekom nikmad dam avadecha. Hashem, avenge the spilled blood of your servants from the enemies of Am Israel. Which means, who is this song including? Terrorism, anti-Semitism, Christianity, and Islam. These four words that I'm throwing now on the class, and I know that I may have been not politically correct, but let's be honest. These four names that I mentioned, throughout history, I already said them. Christianity, Islam, terrorism, and anti-Semitism. These four, unfortunately, cannot say our hands are clean. Although Islam today makes more noise than Christianity, but don't forget that before Islam, Christianity, for several hundred years, prosecuted the Jewish people tremendously. If it's the time of the Crusades, in the time of the blood libels, in the time of the Inquisition, okay, that now they're trying to do teshuvah, beautiful. And continues and it says, Ki or kalanu, and terrorism, we already know, unfortunately, in Israel and in the world. And anti-Semitism, we saw the unfortunate tragedy of Pittsburgh, that unfortunately, just for the mere fact that people were Yehudim, they were gone down, and may Hashem avenge the blood. Ki orcha lanu hayeshua. We're saying to the Almighty, dear God, how long are we in exile? 1950 years. More than since the moment that we gave the Torah. More since the destruction of the first temple. Do the numbers. From the Torah time till first temple, 1,000 years. Not bad. We had Nevi'im, we have Yoshua, Moshe, Mishkan Shiloh, Noah, David, Shaul, Shelomo, Shemuel HaNavi. In other words, we were okay until the godly commandment came to build the temple. 70 years in exile, we came back. But now, from the second round, 1950 And I hope no more. I hope no more, Be'ezat Hashem. And that's what we are saying. Ki en kes lime hara'a. It says, God, we have no end to our suffering. The suffering. Let's talk a minute about the Holocaust. And it's important to talk about the Holocaust because as the years go by, we talk about less and less and less. But let's be honest here. The Holocaust was without any doubt one of the most cruel events, or tragedies rather, that affected the Jewish people. We're not saying the Inquisition was less, but we can only imagine the Inquisition or the Crusades. By the Holocaust, people saw it, and Baruch Hashem, people lived through them, and people survived. Many of them didn't come back. 6 million, that's at least the official number that we know. And you know, if you ever read books about the Holocaust, the atrocities that they used to do. I met, when we moved to Brazil 30 years ago, that was the first time in my life that I met face to face people that survived the Holocaust. In Argentina, I didn't meet many. But in Brazil, I met many. Probably half of the shul, the elders of the synagogue, all of them had the numbers inscribed, God forbid, in their skin. And one of them once told me a story that, I'm not sure if I should say it, maybe I shouldn't, because a very cruel story. Baruch Hashem, he survived. But he couldn't have kids. You understand?
Yeah.
And this is one of what we know. And that's why we say, Dehe Admon Besel Salmon. Please, Borei Olam, send away, topple down all the evil nations who seek our destruction. Why we call them Admon? Because comes from Admoni. Admoni was the title that the Torah gives to Esav. Admoni means from red. Red means blood. Chas v'shalom. Besel Salmon. Hakem lanu ro'im shiv'a. Borei Olam reactivate the 7 shepherds of Am Israel. Meaning to say, come and bring Mashiach for the Jewish people. The way the Gemara brings down the list, coming from Adam Arishon, Shet, Metushelach, Abraham, Yaakov, Moshe, and David. And that's why, if you remember yesterday, we mentioned the prayer in the Amidah, that when we say, Etzemach David Avdecha Meherat Tasmiah, the flourishing of the kingdom of King David. Why? Because the celebration of Hanukah, Rabotai, has the power of bringing the salvation to Am Israel. So we hope and pray to Borei Olam that now that we know, give me one more minute, because I got to tell you the tip of the day. What you should pray for tonight, right? Remember I told you this? So give me a second for me to open my list, otherwise I may forget. So, Be'ezat Hashem, among everything that you pray for in Hanukah, pray for Mashiach's arrival. And Be'ezat Hashem will have great miracles for all of Am Israel. So, third candle of Hanukah. Third candle of Hanukah, talks about children. That a person should have the merit of bringing children to the world. Children that are healthy, physically, and emotionally, and spiritually. Because bringing children to the world is much easier than educating children. That's why the Gemara's language is Asakta ve'piriya ve'rivya. What's the meaning of the word Asakta? If the Gemara wants to ask you, did you have children? If it's me writing, I will ask you, Hayu lecha yeladim? Did you have children? But the Gemara didn't say that. The Gemara says, Asakta. You know what's the meaning of Asakta? Did you roll up your sleeves and went to work? How do you call in Hebrew business? עסק. יש לך עסק? Do you have a business? How much do you sweat for your business? How far do you go in your business? That's the language that the Torah tells us about educating children. Now, obviously, a parent should pray for children all the time, but specifically in the third night of Hanukah. Why? You should ask this question. Why? Why? Ask me the question.
Why?
Excellent question. Excellent question. What the third light of Hanukah represents? The first light, Abraham. The second, Ishaq. The third, Yaakov. And Yaakov had the merit of having success with all his children. We learned this today in the Gemara class upstairs before your minyan. The Gemara tells us, with your permission, I will go overtime. If you have money in the meter, go put a quarter. The Gemara writes, Yaakov Avinu lo met. Gemara, famous Gemara in Ta'anit, 5b. It says the Gemara, Yaakov Avinu didn't die. As the Gemara, how can you say such a thing? The Pasuk says that the Egyptians mourn Yaakov. The Pasuk tells us that the Egyptians embalmed the body of Yaakov. The children of Yaakov took him to Israel to be buried with Ishaq and Abraham. How can you say that Yaakov Avinu never died? The Gemara gives a fantastic answer and it says, Ma zar'o b'chaim, af hu b'chaim. Like his children are alive, also his spirit is alive. And the Mefarshim bring down and it says, what kept Yaakov Avinu alive after his death? And when I mean alive, mean his legacy, his eternal name, the zechut of the children. That all the sons of Yaakov were holy and righteous people. And that's why the Zohar HaKadosh says, Yaakov ha-behir sheva avot, the chosen between Abraham, Ishaq and Yaakov. Why? Because Abraham had a headache, named Ishmael. Ishaq has a bigger headache, named Esav. But Yaakov, mitato shelema. So we pray to Borei Olam on the third night of Hanukah, in the merit of Yaakov Avinu. Like Yaakov had success in his children's education, help us that we have success in our children's education. Okay? Now, what about the second candle that we are now today? Okay? What did they say yesterday? Second candle, there are 3 prayers to do. If you are single, to find a wife. If you are married, to have Shalom Bayit. And if you have Shalom Bayit, pray for the Shalom Bayit to continue. This was, we still are running. If you didn't know this as of now, today, now, take a few seconds and pray mentally, verbally on your way home, etc. But tonight, after we lit the candles and we sang the Ma'asur and we say Mizmor Shir Hanukah Tabay LeDavid and Yosef Beseter, while you eat the donuts and you say Rimon and the Latkes, wherever you do in those 30 minutes, that they should be standing, not standing I should say, but sitting and watching and talking among the family and friends of Hanukah, pray for the future generation. And if Baruch Hashem, all your children are in the right track, pray for the next generation, the grandchildren as well. Because tefillah is never enough. Okay, my dear friends? Have a great day, everybody. Happy Hanukkah. Chag Sameach. Tizku leshanim rabot to everyone. Baruch Adonai le'olam. Amen.